didn't break your brain during class, but I wanted to revisit these notes on powers of I for imaginary. The biggest thing, so the first thing for when you're simplifying expressions with I, of course, the biggest thing you need to know is I is the same thing as the square root of -1, which we talked about in class. When you're simplifying the powers of I, there's another important thing. So I'm going to go through these notes, and then we'll talk about what happens when you simplify these powers of I. So the first thing is I to the first power. I know I is the square root of -1 to the first power, which is just going to be the square root of radical -1, which I can just rewrite as I because they are equal to each other. So now I go to I squared, okay? And I rewrite it. So I is the square root of -1, so I rewrite it as radical -1 squared. Now I'm going to remind you that when you square a square root, they basically cancel each other out. So if I have, for example, the square root of 3, sorry about that, square root of 3 squared, that would just be 3. Square root of 2, I square that. Okay, these cancel each other out, and then it'll just be a plain old 2. So the square root of -1 squared is going to be just plain old -1. That right there, I squared being equal to -1 is how we're going to simplify. That's the most important thing. So what we're going to do is each of these, we're going to rewrite it so it has an I squared in it. So I cubed right here. Well, I cubed is I squared times I. Okay? So, because now we have 2 i's here and then 1 I here, so we have a total of 3 i's. So I squared and I. Well, I squared, I'm going to rewrite this. I squared again is, we're going to emphasize this, is -1. So I rewrite this as -1 times I. So it's -1i, or we rewrite it as -I. Okay? I to the 4th. Okay, I'm going to show you a little trick. So you have to figure out how many I squares I can make out of I to the 4th. So what you do is you have I to some exponent. You divide that exponent by 2, and that's going to tell you how many I squareds, your exponent divided by 2, that's going to go right here, so they'll tell you how many I squareds are in my problem. Okay? If there's a remainder, then you're going to have an extra I. So I to the 4th is I squared squared. So we have 2 here and 2 here, that's a total of 4. Okay? I can replace this I squared in my parentheses with -1. -1 squared is +1. Okay, you can put that in your calculator and see -1 squared is +1. Okay, so we move on to I to the 5th power. Okay, I to the 5th power, I take that 5, I divide by 2. I end up with 2.5. Okay, so this right here, I know I can write my I squared. There are 2 I squareds and I to the 5th. So right now I have 4. But I want 5 i's, so I know I have an extra I here. So I'm just rewriting I to the 5th is I squared squared times I. I squared, I replace my I squared again with -1. Okay, -1 squared is 1, so this is just going to be 1 times I, which is just I. I to the 6th. Okay, so I do the same thing. I do 6 divided by 2, and then it'll tell me. I put my I squared in my parentheses. What goes out here is whatever 6 divided by 2 is, which is 3. So I have 6 i's right here, so I'm good. So I don't have anything left. I replace my I squared with -1. So this is -1 to the 3rd power, which is -1. Put it in the calculator, you can see, or you can use your properties. Okay? So for I to the 7th, okay, I rewrite it. I'm automatically going to put my I squared in parentheses. Okay, so I figure out what number goes here. So I do 7 divided by 2. that's going to be 3.5. So I know that a 3 is going to be here. I know I have some leftover, so I know I'm going to have an extra I. You see, 3 times 2 is 6, and then here's another one that's going to be 7. So this is negative 1 cubed times I. Negative 1 cubed is negative 1 I, which is the same thing as negative I. All right. I to the 8th, we do the same thing. I write my I squared first, okay? 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. Okay, I replace my I squared with negative 1. Negative 1 to the 4th is positive 1, so my answer is positive 1. Okay, so hopefully you feel okay about that. We're going to do some extra practice problems. You guys do see a pattern. This is 1. This is I, negative 1, negative I, 1. I, negative 1, negative I, 1. Okay, so there is a pattern, but we're just going to work with the fact that I squared is negative 1. It's the only thing you need to remember. What you will also notice, okay, in the pattern is if the exponent is odd, then we'll have an I. Extra I. If it is even, there'll be no extra I. And I know how great my handwriting is on the smartboard. So for this, I know it's I. Okay, so I know that there's going to be an extra I. Okay, I do 15, so I know I'm going to have my I squared. So I have my I squared, I just figure out my exponent. So 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So I know this is going to be I squared to the 7th. I have a remainder, so I know that there's going to be an I. I squared is negative 1. It's negative 1 to the 7th times I, which is going to be negative 1 to the 7th is negative 1, because anytime you have a negative number to an odd power, it's always negative, times I, or negative I. I to the 62nd. All right, same thing. All right, so we do I to the 62nd, you do 62 divided by 2, which is 31. So we, of course, always, when we're